In this world, if you're replaceable, you will be replaced. And if you lose that, not only are you not going to be successful in life, you will also lose yourself. You'll be alienated from who you are. You're cutting through this vast cloud of smoke, this screen that has been put in front of you that is preventing you from understanding yourself. In this world, if you're replaceable, you will be replaced, right? So if in your job you're in your 20s and you're doing something that other people could do, by the time you become 28, they can hire somebody 24 when they hired you, but for less money. They will do that right away. It's a brutal world. So if you're replaceable, you will be replaced. So the only defense against that is to be irreplaceable in this world. And the good news is that you are at your core irreplaceable. There is something strange and weird about you. Once again, I hate to say it, but it's a chapter that I'm writing right now for my Sublime book. Okay, and I explain in Mastery where that comes from biologically, your DNA, how you are marked as a unique individual at birth, the combination of variants in your chromosomes. It's mathematically impossible for it to ever be replicated. Yes, the variations are marginal. The differences aren't great between you and me, but those little differences are the differences between me liking this kind of hip-hop music and you liking a different kind of hip-hop music, right? It creates your inclinations, it creates your tastes. And so what the game of life involves is knowing your uniqueness, is knowing who you are, is knowing what makes you weird and what makes you odd, okay? And the problem is that we're social animals, and the pressure continually on us is to fit into a group, is to be like other people, to have their ideas, to have their values, to have their tastes, to dress like them, okay? And that happens when you're young, you're in your adolescence. We all go through that phase. I went through that phase. But if you keep on that track when you're in your 20s and on, which is happening a lot today through social media, you're going to lose that sense of what makes you odd and different.
Mm-hmm.
I compare it to a voice. When you're very young, that little voice in you is going, Robert, you should be a writer. It's telling you something. And as you get older, you don't hear it anymore because you're hearing all the other voices. You're hearing your voices of your parents, the teachers, the culture around you, your peers, your friends, telling you this is what's cool, this is what's not cool. And that little voice becomes completely drowned out. And so you don't know who you are anymore. And you're afraid, particularly young people today, I mean, maybe it's always been that way, are so afraid of being different. They're so afraid of being odd. But look at all the powerful people in this world. Look at your Elon Musks. Look at your celebrities in entertainment, in business, in politics. They're one of a kind. They have I hate that word, but it's like a brand. They're different. They stand out for something that's truly different. You know, even Albert Einstein, there's nobody else like Einstein. There's nobody like Da Vinci. Okay? That's where your power lies. And you'll go, oh, but Robert, those are people that were brilliant, that were talented. I'm not like that. I don't have that. Well, bullshit. You do have that. It's just you're forgetting about it and you don't want to put the effort into it. I talked in Mastery of a woman named Temple Grandin who was born with severe, severe autism. And she was able to find her way to become a very brilliant professor, academic, writer, and about animals, animal behavior, and about autism itself. She found her way to it when she was 3 or 4, she couldn't even speak any language. She was going to be hospitalized. You have that potential. It's just you're not putting the effort into it. You are lazy. You want to fit into the group. You want to conform because it's easy. But your oddness, what makes you weird, what makes you different, that little strange quirk in how you want to dress yourself, that little strange quirk in your musical tastes, that little quirk in the food that you like to eat, that is who you are. Those are signs from deep within, from your core, from your soul. This is who you are. And if you lose that, not only are you not going to be successful in life, you will also lose yourself, and you will be unhappy, you'll be alienated from who you are. And you can get away with that when you're young because you're happy, you look good, you've got energy, things are going right. You get into your 30s and you're like everybody else, and you don't know who you are and you don't know what you like anymore, and you're just following the trends. You start to get depressed and you start going down this rabbit hole, and things can turn really ugly. So you need a bit of courage in life. You need to go, okay, I am weird. I am strange. Lean into it. So when I had the 48 Laws of Power, when I first wrote the book, without it being published yet, it was a very strange looking book, and it reflects my own strangeness. Things on the margins, stories, everything broken up, images, quotes here and there. It's kind of how my brain is, a hodgepodge, kind of a mess, really. And the publishers, they bought the book, but then they came back to us and they said, Robert, can you kind of maybe make this more like other books? Can you get rid of all those sections and everything? And I said, no, take it or leave it. This is the book as it is. It's odd, it's strange. They didn't like that because if it doesn't fit into all the other books that have had successful, it's too big of a risk. If this movie isn't like the movies that were made last year, who knows who'll go see it? People are so conservative. But because it was odd, it stood out and it was successful. If I had succumbed and I compromised and made it more like other books, I wouldn't be here talking to you. So sometimes you need a little bit of cojones, you need a little bit of courage, you need to stand up and say, I'm okay being different. In nature, the diversity of species in a habitat make it vital, make it alive, make it sustainable. And that comes from mutations in the genetic code. Some insect has a mutation, and therefore a whole new species, a whole new thing splinters off from that, and it creates variety. Well, in human culture is like a habitat in a way. So you're marked with uniqueness by your genetic code. Insects don't really have individuality. We have individuality, and they are like mutations. And so your mutation, your difference, you being Chris, is for a purpose. You're marked that way because by mining your uniqueness, your weirdness, your oddness, your little quirky tastes, you're going to contribute something new to the culture. And in contributing something new to the culture, you enrich it and you keep it turning around and round and round. Cultures in the past that die on the vine don't have any variety. You can look at like the Soviet Union at its most, decadent, or when it was really at its worst phase, like in the 70s and 80s. There's no change, there's no variety. Early on, there was all sorts of weird different voices. They ended up getting imprisoned and murdered, okay? But a culture has to have variety. It has to have a diversity of voices. And so you, by being odd, you're contributing to that. You're contributing to the culture. By not doing that, you're not contributing at all, and it's a real waste of what nature gave you. My wanting to be a writer, or Tiger Woods wanting to be a golfer when he's like 2 years old, there's probably some genetic component in it. And maybe there's some early bonding, but there's probably a genetic component to it. You can't control it. It's who you are. And maybe that you can't control it is a good thing. And maybe it's there for a reason. And maybe if you wanted to do something else, it wouldn't work out. So my knowing that I wanted to be a writer instead of, a businessman or a lawyer like my parents wanted to be, probably saved my life, to be honest with you. So knowing what makes you different is kind of going to guide you past these dangerous moments in life and make you want to change who you are because you feel pressure, social pressure to change who you are. The first phase of the process is discovering what I say, discovering your life's task. And that's the key to everything. It's the key to having a fulfilled life. It's the key to being happy in life. It's the key to reaching the goals that you want. Because what it is the process of self-understanding, self-knowledge. You have to become aware of what you were destined for in this life. You were born a unique individual. And it's a very interesting thought. It's the same kind of thought about your brain. There will never be another Michael Gervais. Your DNA is unique. The way your parents brought you up, their DNA is unique. The way they brought you up is unique. Your early experiences, you are a true individual, right? And that spark, that individuality is, I would compare to like a seed, right? It's been planted in you. And your destiny, your fate in life is to know what that seed is, to know who you are, what makes you different from everybody else, and to cultivate it. And if you don't understand that, the apprenticeship phase will be misery because you will start trying to learn and do things that aren't suited to your nature. Your brain has what I call a grain to it. And there's a book that I tell people that I like a lot called The 5 Frames of Intelligence by Howard Gardner. And he basically shows that there are 5 different kinds of intelligence. We tend to overemphasize the intellectual, the analytical skill, but there's musical intelligence, pattern intelligence, mathematical intelligence, there's social intelligence, there's kinetic intelligence, which has to do with the body and movement. There are 5 of them. I don't remember all of them. Yeah. You have one of them. There's one of them that's stronger than the others, right? It's where your brain naturally gravitates towards. And if you don't have the right fit, if you're launch your career, you go into law because you think it's going to be making a lot of money, but in fact, your brain and your that seed was made for something else. You're going to end up hitting a wall at some point. You're going to be burning yourself out, and your life will take bad turns, and things will, you will never reach the goals that you want. So you have to begin from the process of, I have to know who I am, and it doesn't come easily, because you're surrounded by voices. And the way the metaphor I give is that seed that I talked about, that individuality that you have, is like a voice in your head. The great psychologist Abraham Maslow, he called them impulse voices. They're voices saying that this is what I like, this is what I love. And as you get older, you accumulate the voices of your parents, your teachers, your peers, the culture at large, and it drowns it out. You can't hear yourself anymore. You can't hear that impulse voice of what makes you an individual, of what makes you different, of what you love. So you have to understand that you're cutting through this vast cloud of smoke, this screen that has been put in front of you that is preventing you from understanding yourself. So you have to look inward, and it takes time. It is a process like everything else.